Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and it educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, many home sellers want to sell their homes for the most money that they can get, of course. However, there are some situations where people need to use other non-traditional ways of selling. Can you tell us about the cash offer program that you've got going right now?
We typically, when a home seller asks us come talk to them about handling the sale of their home, for almost all properties, we'll show up with some offers, some cash offers. And there's certain times when the investors won't buy them, like if the acreage is really, really huge, that to them, that's kind of a unicorn. They're looking for more cookie cutter homes. But in general, they'll take them as is. And sometimes within their deal, they'll remodel them and let you participate in the upside when it resells. So there's a lot of options for home sellers now, more than ever before. I would say a majority of people assume that when an investor makes an offer, it's always the steal your equity offer, but that's not always the case. And the investors buy box or buy criteria does vary from time to time, depending on the market. Like if we see the rates come down and more buyers entering in the market, I think these people are going to be making some better offers over the next 6 to 8 months for sure. But there's a certain segment of the population that does not want to deal with the traditional sales process. And I completely get it. What I sell is not fun for most home sellers, dealing with people, getting your house ready to show, having buyers come through your house and criticize the house, having these buyer agents float these verbal offers. Now, Richard, you went to law school, right? And you may or may not remember the real estate section, but is real estate verbal ever?
I got to tell you, if you're trying to do real estate verbally, you're going to end up losing a lot of money. You're not going to get anything done. It's if ever there's anything, you need to have contracts. It needs to be in writing. You have to have the T's crossed and the I's dotted. It's just the way it is.
Right. And to me, it's extremely unprofessional for agents to go, oh, why don't you ask the seller if they'll take that offer? And then if they do, I guess I'll spend my 10 minutes writing up a form fill, right? To me, that tells me that the buyer isn't really interested. The agent is just playing games, right? And they're, oh, watch me. I'm a negotiating extraordinary person, and I'm gonna basically get the price down, and then we'll finally put it in writing. But every time they play that game, pretty much somebody else comes along, grabs the house, and then their buyer's out of luck. So it's really a mistake to do that, and it's license law that it doesn't exist if it's not in writing. So I don't know where they came up with this idea, but it really is, to me, unprofessional. It tells the seller that that person wasn't serious enough to put it in writing. Of course, they're excited. They want an offer, right? But is it really an offer, or is this somebody just messing with my client? So I pretty much told agents, I'm not playing this game. Either you put it in writing and we'll negotiate it, or go away, take your buyer somewhere else, because it's not the way to do business. And if they think they're going to win that way, at the end of the day, they're not. And that's my message to you out there that are doing that kind of thing. So at the end of the day, that's one of the issues that we run into. Inspections are another nightmare part of the process, to include buyers asking for stuff that are unreasonable, inspectors making up stuff that doesn't seem right. Just a few weeks ago, I had an agent that wanted to punt the inspection back onto the seller and go, oh, hey, seller, we can't figure out how to check the sewer line. So will you do it and then get back to us on what you find? And I'm like, no, that's on the buyer. If you want to do your own inspection, fine, bring in a licensed plumber to check the sewer line. What did they do? They brought an excavation company. What do you think an excavation company is in the business of doing? They're in the business of digging holes and putting in new sewer lines. So what do you think they're going to say? Plus, they asked me without even, they went to this vacant house with no notice and called me and said, hey, can we modify the plumbing to do this with this excavation company? I'm like, no, I don't have permission to do that. What are you thinking? So there's a wide variety of lack of expertise out there. And I confronted her. I said, that was not the deal. We had it in writing that you'd bring a plumber. Why are you all of a sudden bringing in an excavation company? That's a conflict of interest. Oh, I don't know. That's just what I do. You know. So we run into those kind of problems. We run into inspectors deeming systems dead solely because of their age, like water heaters, roofs, furnaces, the whole thing, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. So inspectors will do that. They'll also make up stuff that doesn't exist. Oh, look, there's a tape crack in the drywall. Therefore, the roof is leaking and there's mold. You have to have a mold remediation company. What? Where did you test for mold? Where'd you come up with that? So that's the kind of stuff that sellers have to face and deal with in the traditional sales process. And then my favorite is finally on the walkthrough, if we're getting to the finish line, now the agent starts making yet new and exciting, unreasonable demands and holding back the closing if they don't suddenly get what they want, like a 2-year-old. And they shouldn't do that with me, because they're coming up against somebody that knows what they're doing, and it's going to be a problem for them. And I'll tell them, hey, your story made the show. I'm not going to say your name, but this is not appropriate. That's not what the walkthrough is for. So that whole process, if the seller is familiar with it, many times if they've done it before, they will tell me, I hate this part. I don't like doing this. I want to sell my house. I want to take my money and go buy another home or whatever they're going to do with it. But they don't like that process. And they are more than willing to accept a cash offer just to get a firm deal. This is how it's going to go. We got it in writing. Here's the inspection. We're past inspection, going to the finish line, and no shenanigans at the finish line. They don't want to deal with that. They like certainty. And they will take a little bit less money in that scenario versus dealing with the public coming through their house. I just put one home under contract, and we were getting a couple of ridiculous lowball offers. And the house definitely needs cosmetic work. We weren't denying that. That's why we priced it that way. However, we had just decided to lower the price, but we hadn't lowered the price yet. And here comes an offer. And the offer was better than our lowered price. So I didn't change the offer. And so what that buyer did is they said, okay, we'll pay a reasonable price for this home, but we just want a concession to deal with the cosmetic issues. Like, can we have $6,000 set aside? We'll go to Home Depot and we'll get bids for carpet and paint, and we'll have those paid out of the closing. I'm like, great, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And it takes away the uncertainty because we already know the issues or the major issues with the house. And so I think there's a lot of people out there that just don't want to deal with the mystery of what's going to happen, because they go on the market. Once they finally do get an offer, great. Now we got to deal with them nitpicking the heck out of their house, asking for stuff, and maybe not making it to the finish line. And you don't know about agents' expertise. I had one agent that sent an offer, looked like a great offer, no closing cost, and the seller signed it. Oops, wait a minute, the buyer didn't sign it. And then she comes back with a new offer asking for closing costs. So it's frustrating to deal with the craziness out there. It's hard for me to excuse my industry for lack of professionalism, because the sellers don't understand it. They just expect everybody else to have half a clue as to what they're doing, but it's not the case. So that's why people jump on cash offers. So we will show up and we'll have the option. Now, there are some people that absolutely are not in a situation to do a traditional sale. Like, I have one person that was in the middle of a rehab, and for personal reasons, they can't finish it, right? But if we took that house and put it on the market and said, hey, all you have to do is come in and put in, drywall and paint and flooring and siding and cement, and you'll be good to go, just another $100,000. The average buyer can't do that, but an investor can. So sometimes there are situations where it works for the sellers. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with the traditional sales process. And that's why we're seeing an actual growth in that industry, which is, I think, a good thing, because we show up with offers and they have choices. Either we go with the cash offer or no, we pivot to the traditional market and do the best we can there. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And what we're talking about is how much less would you receive if you took a cash offer versus the traditional sale? And I will say it could be right now in the current market conditions, it could be 10, 15, maybe even 20% less than what the typical market will pay. But for that, you're going to get certainty. It's definitely going to sell. You're definitely going to get paid if you have the equity in your house. And I've got one that I just closed where he didn't want to deal with repairing. It did need a lot of repairs, so he picked an investor that would do it for him. He got some money up front, and he's going to get more after they fix it up. And they take care of all of that for him, and he's already bought his house in another state. So we've got lots of options for folks, and we'd love to discuss it with you. All you need to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. The program is Your Real Estate Voice, and Barb is your real estate voice. If you're interested in selling, you want to call Barb. The number is 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about selling a home. So, Barb, why would a home seller be interested in getting a cash offer on their home, and how much less can they expect to receive when they're doing that?
It really depends. Typically, the investors will charge their own fee for the benefit of using those investors. But some of them make it very easy for the seller. Some will say, hey, leave the house exactly how, take whatever you want, leave whatever you don't want. We'll get in there, we'll clean it up, we'll remodel it later and be able to move on from there. So it definitely depends on which investor. We have multiple investors to choose from. Some of them are buy and hold investors. They're not necessarily flippers. We just had one that got added to our group of investors. It's actually somebody that wants to sit on it and keep it as a rental property. On the break, Richard, you were saying that there's going to be a deficit in housing out there. So there are investors that buy those as well. And we're able to tap into all these different people and be able to give the seller options versus the traditional fun of going on the market and the uncertainty of when is it going to sell, how much is it going to sell for, and how much am I going to beat up on an inspection and repairs and all that. And one of the things that we offered is a guaranteed sales price. So we will give you a guarantee of, if you decide not to take the cash offers, our guarantee is your home sold at 100% of market value, or I'll pay you the difference. So if you'd like to find out more about that, give us a call. 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
You're listening to Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb. That number is 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what is the purpose of a pre-inspection, plus Barb's hot new listings. You do not want to miss those.